Oral questions, questions orales. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, we're waiting for the details of the new free trade agreement with the United States so that we can assess all the details. However, we do know that the Prime Minister made concessions in the access to the dairy sector, as well as in terms of the Class 7 ranking. Can the Prime Minister tell us what the concessions were compared to any concessions the Americans had to make in their dairy market? Mr. Speaker, the agreement that we reached yesterday is a good agreement for Canada. It's a good agreement for the market throughout the continent, and it's very important to say that we have innovative people in this country. Canadians work hard and they innovate. With respect to dairy products, we work closely with the dairy industry, and we will continue to do that to ensure that they receive appropriate compensation for their loss of market share. Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The question is whether or not he was able to get concessions from the United States on the very same issue. When the Prime Minister offered to renegotiate NAFTA, there were no sunset clauses, steel tariffs, or auto quotas, and we already had a dispute resolution mechanism. So these are not new gains in this deal. So we had hoped that the government might negotiate gains for Canada, like an end to the Buy America policy that costs billions of dollars and thousands of jobs. Does this new deal put an end, once and for all, for the Buy America policy, yes or no?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians are pleased today that we're moving forward on a historic accord that stabilizes, secures, and offers certainty to investors, to Canadian businesses, but mostly to workers and folks in the middle class. We have ended the uncertainty around trade in Canada. We have demonstrated that we can move forward and continue to grow our economy, drawing in global investment, being part of the global supply chains, and being an integrated part in the North American market. This is a good day for Canada. It's a good day for Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the question is very specific. The Prime Minister has made major concessions on key areas. He's made concessions on dairy. He's made concessions on auto quotas. And he's made concessions on pharmaceuticals, meaning that Canadian patients will have to pay higher drug costs. Now, we would have hoped that after making all those concessions, we would be able to see a gain on an important issue like Buy American. So can the Prime Minister confirm whether or not he has put an end to the Buy America policy in this deal?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, over the past 13 months, we have been working extremely hard with the Americans and with the Mexicans to reach a new deal that would be good for Canadians. Despite what Stephen Harper recommended about 6 months ago, we weren't ready to sign any old deal. We needed to sign a deal that is good for Canadians, and that's exactly what we did. We have stood up for Canada, stood up for Canadians. We got it done in the right way, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank Canadians who've been united on this issue across all corners of the country and across all ideologies.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians were united in wanting a good deal. The Prime Minister is trying to take credit for things that the Conservative Party had locked in over 25 years ago. There was no sunset clause. There was already a dispute resolution mechanism. And now he has made major concessions on key sectors of the economy. Now we'd like to see where the gains are. One area that Canadians were very united and hoping to see an end to was the punishing tariffs on softwood lumber. Can the Prime Minister confirm whether or not his concessions has led to an end to the softwood lumber tariffs?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry to hear that the official opposition's official position seems to be that this is a bad deal. Canadians disagree. This is a good deal for Canada. It provides certainty and security as we move forward. We have ensured continued access to the North American market in a time of protectionism, and we continue to know that as we engage with the United States in positive, constructive ways, we're going to be keep putting Canadians' interests at the forefront of everything. This is not about politics, Mr. Speaker. This is about prosperity for Canadians. That's where we stay focused.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, we are going to evaluate this deal to determine if it's a good deal. And one of the ways that we'll be able to determine that is to find out where Canada gained. Now, we know where he has backed down. He's backed down to Donald Trump on dairy. He's backed down to Donald Trump on auto quotas. And he's backed down to Donald Trump on pharmaceuticals, meaning Canadian patients will have to pay higher for drug costs. Now, after making all these concessions, we'd like to know, did he secure an end to the softwood lumber tariffs?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I guess we'll have to wait a little while to find out whether the official opposition thinks this is a good deal or a bad deal. But I can tell you, the Canadians right across the country understand that securing access to the North American market, that demonstrating that we could stand up for the rules-based order by having intact Chapter 19, defending our cultural industries, including as they move more digital, is a good thing. That defending supply management as it continues is a good thing. This is what Canadians expected. This is what we've delivered.
The Honourable Member for Rimouski-Nejet-Témiscouata-Les-Basques. Mr. Speaker, I remember a time not so long ago when the Prime Minister told us that there would be a new progressive NAFTA that would promote gender equality and Indigenous rights. He even said in the August of 2017 that he also wanted environmental protection conditions in the deal. On all those points, Mr. Speaker, nothing gained, nothing at all. But instead, more Canadian concessions on supply management and continuing tariffs on steel and aluminum. The Prime Minister promised that there would be no deal instead of a bad deal. Why did he completely cave in? Right Honourable the Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we did get a good deal. And we did it in terms of the environment as well. There are more measures now to protect the environment in this agreement than there were in the 25-year-old deal from before. We have penalties and sanctions in there if the environmental conditions are not met. And that's something that we obtained in this agreement. Now, I understand that the NDP doesn't like agreements and that it wouldn't want a trade deal with anyone, including apparently the United States. The Honourable Member for Rimouski-Nejet-Témiscouata-Les-Basques. So we now have a NAFTA with more concessions. For the third time in 4 years, agricultural producers are the ones being sacrificed to get a deal. And yet the Prime Minister had said 1,000 times over that he would stand up for supply management. What he didn't tell us was that he was going to bring it to its knees first. One breach, two breaches, three, and now the system is drowning underwater, and we're still, the Americans are going to continue to subsidize their agricultural industry and then come and dump their surplus here. The Prime Minister promised to producers that he would stand up for them and protect supply management. Why did he completely cave in? Honourable the Prime Minister. On the contrary, Mr. Speaker, we did protect supply management. We signed CETA, we signed the CPTPP, and now we have signed the USMCA, and we have a process there that protects and that continues to protect our supply management sector. Obviously, we'll be working closely with the dairy sector and with dairy producers in order to ensure that appropriate compensation is made to them for their loss of market share. But we have secured supply management for future generations.
Canadians were worried we wouldn't get a deal, but today, many are worried about what we've given up to get this deal. This new deal looks nothing like the priorities the Liberals promised at the beginning of negotiations. Where is that progressive trade agenda? The Liberals have made major concessions that will hurt Canadian dairy, poultry, and egg farmers. They failed to get Trump's promised exemption on aluminum and steel tariffs, and they've made access to medication even more expensive. The Liberals promised a win, win, win. How can this Prime Minister give up so much and call this a win?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, unfortunately, actually, NDP are not just opposed to all trade deals, but especially progressive trade deals, which is a shame. Because what we've moved forward with in terms of labor standards in North America is historic in terms of protecting the rights of workers. What we've moved forward for on the environment is strengthened environmental protections and real consequences within the accord that had never been done before. We are moving forward in a deal that works for the middle class and people working hard to join it, and that is at the heart of the progressive agenda of this government and of this progressive trade deal.
Honourable member for Essex.
The lack of transparency throughout this whole process has been overwhelming. Canadians were promised transparency and expected transparency. Our workers need to know exactly what their government has signed on to and how this will affect their livelihoods. They deserve to know that their jobs and our Canadian industries are protected. And I'm still looking for that progressive trade agenda. So simple question for the Prime Minister. Will he be transparent and bring this deal into Parliament for study, debate, and vote?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there's been a lot of credit given to this government for negotiating this deal, but I have to say that we have owed a debt of gratitude to many, many stakeholders and industries across this country, including the Canadian Labour Congress and Unifor. Jerry Dias and Hassan Youssef have worked closely with us every step of the way to ensure that this deal could be the best possible one for workers, for labour, and for Canadians. That's what we're going to continue to focus on. And of course, Mr. Speaker, through the ratification process, we look forward to bringing this deal to Parliament.
The honourable member for...
And that is the first part of question period. As you heard the Prime